Thank you. Excellent. Admission time. I am not an industry insider, okay? So I am an expert outsider, and I normally get hired by companies to look at their business model and to see how I could possibly destroy your business model. So I'm not here to be comfortable, not here to be friendly at times. My role is to get you or some of you out of something called in psychology selective perception, you know? When we're swimming in the same pool all the same time, we all see the same picture and it might be the wrong picture after a while. And to do that sometimes in psychology, to transform people, we have to go through the 4 stages of cancer. And if you feel any of those 4 stages in your own heart, don't look at me, look at your own heart. The first stage is when people say, you've got cancer, wouldn't it be nice? People say, I agree, what do I do? Most people say, me, cancer, you've got the wrong guy. It's called denial. Then we strongly deny the possibility that something is going wrong. You go to 5 doctors, all 5 doctors say, you've got cancer. And then what will people say? What? I don't smoke. Look at the guy from Google, he smokes. It's called anger. If you feel anger about anything I say, don't look at me, look into your own heart. Then comes the 3rd stage, which is the most dangerous one. It's called depression. When some of you may realize, is it really that bad where we're stuck? And if it's that bad, well, you know what? Please look at it. Fair enough. And after that comes insight and action. So today, what I came to share with you is some thoughts that I have from the outside. You may agree and disagree. That's called a vigorous discussion. I think that's healthy. One thing that we chose for the very start was to have the guy grabbing the fish. We need to know how to catch fish in a new way because we live in a very, very bizarre world. About a century ago, a little less, a gentleman called Aldous Huxley wrote a book called Brave New World, and it seemed like science fiction then. Today, the worst profession to be in is to be in science fiction because things are moving so fast that the brave new world is here. Interesting? And as the old Chinese adage go, may you live in interesting times. That's not a blessing, that's a curse. And we're living in those interesting times. Let's go for it. I would like to introduce you to this chap called Makowski. Have you heard about Makowski? Toms.com? Nobody? Oh my God. We'll have to talk about him. And he says something very interesting. In this fast-paced and constantly mutating world, it is easier than ever to seize the day. Sounds motivational. But in order to do so, you must play by new set of rules because increasingly the tried and true tenets of success are just tried, not true. Not gentle warning. I see this company after company, and I have the privilege to work with some of the largest branding names, literally globally. And I see time after time that people are stuck in analysis paralysis and wishful thinking is rampant. Let's have a look. The first problem we have is that we are becoming very fragile. What do we mean by fragile? We're growing bigger and bigger. The world around is changing and changing, and we are applying the same solution over and over. Have you heard about the banking system? Too big to fail? We all know that the banking system is becoming more fragile. Have we allowed certain companies to fail and learn? No, we haven't. We put more sticky tape on top. The banks grow bigger and bigger, and frankly speaking, the big readjustment is coming. That's what we mean by fragile. Let's have a look. First problem we have, many of the corporations that are really big today live in something called growth paranoia. I go to company after company, and you might have heard this one at the yearly meeting. Next year, we need to grow more. Awesome. You see the salespeople going, you know, sure, boss talk la, you know. And what's the question? And people said, how la? Because frankly speaking, how much more ice cream do you want to eat? How many more belts can you put into your closet? It's true. Where the hell are we going to grow to? But you know what? This lady, drill, baby, drill. Doesn't matter how. The point is that we have disconnected from the reality that we live on a globe with finite resources, with finite purchasing power, with finite everything. But we have selective perception. We don't care because the shareholders demand it. Am I a socialist? Heck no. But the point is that the capitalism we used to know the way it is now is going to come to a crashing halt at some point. Allow me to explain. This is, frankly speaking, how we have become over the years. We've become a monster. Every year, grow, grow, grow. How? I don't care. Shareholder value, let's do it. Right? And frankly speaking, this is the best poster. I want you to buy a lot to prove that you love your family. That's the message. What you do with it, I don't know. Have you ever been to the great Singapore shopping. And when you are there, they go, no, I go to the great Malaysia shopping. Then you go to the great Hong Kong shopping. And one Louis Vuitton store is not enough. I come from Singapore. We need at least 15. Because maybe you change your mind 2 shops down the road, couldn't you? It's insane. So what's the real problem? How much more can we eat? We're coming to the logical end curve. Global obesity is at maximum level. As a matter of fact, we know why people want to eat more. Sugar, fat, and salt. It's called the bliss point. It's all figured out. That kid looks very blissful, doesn't it? This is the first generation, we all know it, that will die before us. Many kids will do that. But we gotta sell them more. I submit to you that that might not be possible. Next thing, the client ain't that dumb, and if that's your brand, I don't apologize. The interesting thing is that now, because of big data and us being able to connect with data, and you'll talk about that, people get more information, the truth is out. Beautiful pictures do not reflect the truth, and the public ain't that dumb. Interesting? There's a whole website dedicated today to show you what's promised and what's delivered. So they're growing up. And frankly speaking, we're blinged out to the max. Have you heard about the newest plastic surgery, ladies? Gentlemen? Have you heard about the FaceTime lift? No? You know what FaceTime is, right? Google. The telephone, right? FaceTime. Do you know that people realize when they're looking at FaceTime, because most you don't speak like this, right? You speak like this, they go, I've got a double chin. Today, people have FaceTime plastic surgery. That's how messed up we are, that we believe everything needs to be nipped and tucked. And then you need a pump here and a pump there, and then you need more stuff here and more stuff there. Fact is that we're literally blinked out. And you know what the real problem is between us? This. We're maxed out to the max. In the West, people are maxed out. Debts are real. So the fact is that people do not have the money they used to have. And in Asia and South America, the growing economies, for now we still have the money, seemingly, but we're going to go exactly the same way the West did. This is not West versus East. This is consumer societies coming to the next logical step of self-destruction. Right now, we want more. We import foreign workers. Does that sound familiar to you? That's exactly what happened in Europe. We're too chic to do the work. Yeah? And what's the problem? At the end of the rainbow, we're going to have a hell of a lot of bags and a big depression. This is not a moral statement, it's a fact. And we're sitting on a pile of garbage. Every day, 90 million tons of reactive material gets pumped into our universe, or in our ecology. Global warming is a reality. Rainy season is supposed to be over. Is it over? I haven't seen it to be over. So the fact is things are changing. But you know what? Hey, let's party some more. And this is what's happening around the world. We're producing, polluting. This is China. China's GDP actually takes a complete hit between 5 to 6% every single year because of pollution. So, on paper it looks great. In real life, they're actually losing a lot of growth because of that. Growth is not the way we believe it to be anymore. We're measuring the wrong things, and that's what we're leaving to our kids. So far for the motivational part of the talk. Let's look at what we're doing. We're doing it literally for a fistful of dollars. That's what we've been doing so far. And people are starting to wake up. People are having opinions. People are much more educated than ever before. And on top of that, the tsunami is coming. Book to buy that I ideally suggest is The Great Disruption by a gentleman called Paul Gilding. He can describe to you in minute detail, based on statistics, how this change in ecology will change our lives anyhow. It will change it within our lifetimes. For some more interesting news, big picture view, there is something called the vanishing customer. If you think about the following thing, Moore's law predicts that computing power accelerates. Agreed? Good. So far, so good. Our telephones are smarter. Your telephone on your table is more powerful than the computers they had that sent the man to the moon in 1969. Right? So right now we're living in technological, magical times. What's the problem with that? Jobs are disappearing. Net jobs are disappearing. How can that be? That's actually a number from Al Gore's book, The Future. Please consider buying it, interesting book. How can that be? Two things are happening. One of them is called robo-sourcing, and the other one is called, robo-sourcing is here and outsourcing. Initially what we did in the West, cheap jobs, right? How can we save money? Give them away. So that's where Penang started, right? Then Indonesia, then China became cheaper. So jobs started hopping from place to place to place because it's just a dumb job. I mean, come on, we're too intelligent for that. Means that jobs were lost in Europe. Remember that? So we started making money here. How wonderful. What's the problem with robo-sourcing? Today, computers are faster, they're linked to machines, they can do the job faster. Example is, first of all, production, 3D printing. 3D printing right now is still almost at hobby level. There is right now companies in America who can print out a house in modular shape 3D. So who can take a hit? Well, some of your logistics clients that need advertising might not need advertising anymore. First of all, interesting. Second of all, transport will suffer, logistics will suffer, and cheap jobs might start disappearing. China built their fortune on cheap jobs. But if I can print out something 3D without having a worker there, can I print it out here in Timbuktu or back at home? Possible, right? So the whole psychology that we have about we'll still grow because we're competitive and cheap, technology might put a dent in there and jobs will disappear. Journalist friends, who is journalist? Press, hands up. I'm not going to punish you, I promise. Okay, at least 2 people are valiant enough to admit to that. Have you heard about narrative science? Young man, haven't heard about it. So journalists are supposed to find the news, right? So listen, buddy, this is the news for you. There is programs today, one company of many that are emerging called narrative science, and narrative science can write reports on sports, economy, and government issues without a person being present, fully automated. How do you feel now? And the new journalists have become meta-journalists. Write down the word, it's very interesting, new words. A meta-journalist is only there to program the program, which direction the narrative should take, and then the thing chunks out stuff. Interesting? There is new programs out there to support legal companies when they have a case, right? When they need precedents. When you needed hundreds of interns, the old legal movies from America, the legal dramas, right? Must do the research, like young people with pencils in their ear, researching. You need one guy who can do the research for 500 people. Period. End of show. Robo-sourcing, outsourcing, it's real now. So actually, not only do we have an ecological challenge, that's coming our way, you've heard that before, we've got a technological challenge, and what it means is this, that the middle class that we actually want to sell to, because they've got the money, will start eroding. And something strange will happen at the same time. As technology takes some of our real-life jobs away, and they won't come back, our productivity has gone up. Isn't that weird? We can produce more to sell to who? I don't know. It's coming our way. Very interesting problems. And on top of that, the anti-fragiles are coming. What do we mean by the anti-fragiles? There's a whole bunch of new people thinking new thoughts. Today you're going to meet Kylie in the afternoon. Those of you who haven't met him, he's well worth listening to. He's an anti-fragile. Allow me to explain. The delusion that some of us have in this room to say, but I have a brand. Well, good for you. It's good, it's not bad. What's the problem with brands? Brands are about the customer. That's what we say, right? It's for you. Frankly speaking, the brands are for the brand and for the shareholder. And if you don't have an intrinsic value that creates the most loved good of them all, loyalty, my clients love me, really love me, then you will have the following problem. Brands get knocked off, or eventually, like Viagra, they get genericized. Period. So Rolex, I was a Rolex man for about 20 years. And then, every single